Around 3:30 at night, when a high-security truck stopped outside a donut shop in Los Angeles and 2 security guards went inside the shop, a car and an SUV blocked the truck's path and some of those thugs, wearing body armor and gas masks, got out. These thugs were carrying massive guns. As soon as the guards came out, the thugs trained their guns on them. The truck driver immediately called the Los Angeles police to report that some thugs were surrounding them and that they had big guns. One guard tried very cleverly to draw his gun, but one of the thugs shot him, and then another thug killed the truck driver. The thugs opened the truck's doors and dragged another guard out. By that time, the police had also arrived. Gunfire broke out from both sides. But what could the police's regular firearms do against the thugs' assault rifles? 4 policemen and 1 thug were killed in that shootout, and soon after the thugs fled with the truck. They took the truck to a warehouse. The gang leader, Ray, reprimanded Bosco harshly because Bosco had shot the security guard. Ray told the rest of the gang that they had to fix the messed up condition of the truck. As soon as Ray opened the truck door, Anson asked Ray if he was okay. Ray replied that they had killed 4 policemen. "The police will be hunting us like dogs," he said. Detective Nick O'Brien arrived at the scene of the incident and then went to the officers from the LA Sheriff's Department who were standing near the thug's corpse. The policemen couldn't understand why those people had left with an empty truck. Nick said there must be some plan behind it. From a short distance across the street, Bosco was taking pictures of that meeting. Returning, Bosco showed the photos to Ray and pointed out Nick's picture, saying that this man was in charge of the incident. Ray told his companions that Nick was the head of the Major Crimes Division. Donnie, who had driven the truck the previous night, left when he saw Nick's picture. Nick and his fellow officers were investigating the case. They concluded that this must have been an inside job. Otherwise, how would anyone have known that this truck would be here at 3:30? They suspected Ray's involvement. Ray had been released on parole just 8 months earlier. Donnie worked as a bartender at night. One night, he saw a man who worked at the Federal Reserve Bank leave his ID at the bar. Donnie put that ID into the cash register and went to Mac, who was a member of Ray's gang. Nick was also sitting in that bar and began questioning Donnie. Donnie said he didn't know who came to the bar and who didn't. Criminals and policemen alike could come. The bar was for everyone. Donnie agreed to that. When Donnie's shift ended and he was leaving, Nick tapped on his car window and knocked Donnie unconscious. When Donnie woke up, he was in an unfamiliar place. As Donnie walked out of the bedroom, Nick's team and 4 women were there. Nick showed Donnie a photo pulled from a CCTV in which Donnie was meeting Ray. Detective Gust said, "We know your entire dirty record." He told him that Donnie had been arrested for stealing a car and trying to run away, that he had been to jail for attempting to kill people, and that he had the record for the fastest getaway in California history. Gust explained that one mistake could throw Donnie back into jail for years. Donnie tried to explain, "Please sir, I've only met Ray once or twice. Apart from that, I don't know anything." Nick showed Donnie a tattoo on his own arm that read, "Regulators." Nick asked, "Do you know what that means?" He explained that there was a police gang called the Clique and that he was part of it. That gang did not believe in rules. They didn't give criminals a chance to reform. They shot them right away. Nick then asked Donnie straight out why a coward like him was involved with such a dangerous gang. Donnie said he was just their driver. He didn't know anything about the thieves' operations. Nick told Donnie to stay in contact with them, and when Nick called he'd better pick up, otherwise he'd arrest him. Meanwhile, the thug gang was keeping an eye on the Federal Reserve Bank in Los Angeles. Ray explained that this was the only bank where a theft had never succeeded. He said its security system was so formidable that there had been 53 attempted robberies but none had ever worked, so Ray wanted them to rob this bank. The police department officers learned that Ray, Anson, Donnie, and Bosco were all retired Marine commandos. The officers investigated all the major thefts from the past 10 years and found that during the 10 years Ray had been in prison there had been no large-scale robberies. Nick told all the officers that if they could catch Ray, they would solve all the unsolved robberies. Ray and his gang returned to the same warehouse. Ray explained the bank's daily routine to his gang. He said the bank removes damaged or rarely used bills from its database. Between 4 o'clock and 5 o'clock, the notes are cut into small pieces, and a waste management company picks them up. He said that at least $30 million comes daily into the room where they count bills. Ray made a plan. They had to get there before the notes were shredded. That way they would have at least $30 million that belonged to no one. No one was being robbed. Donnie then started working for a Chinese food delivery company from which bank employees ordered food regularly. Donnie went into the bank carrying 2 bags for delivery. Security allowed Donnie to enter. He delivered 1 bag to the women sitting in the cafeteria, but with the other bag he went into the restroom. He hid that bag in the overhead ventilation hole. That same night Ray and his companions were eating at a restaurant when suddenly the police arrived. Nick walked toward Ray's table and talked to Donnie, showing that he had met Donnie at the gym. Back at the warehouse, Ray suspected Donnie of being a cop. Donnie denied it, but Ray pointed a gun and asked again how Donnie knew Nick. Donnie truthfully said that Nick had caught him and that Nick knew about all of them. After that, Donnie never met Ray again. Ray trusted him and had Donnie pass one message to Nick that the robbery would happen this Friday. Donnie met Nick in a suit shop and Nick asked what Donnie and his people were doing at the restaurant. Donnie changed the subject and said only that the robbery would take place that Friday, but he didn't know where. Now Nick arrived at the club where Ray's girlfriend worked and watched the show. Ray's girlfriend came down from the stage and whispered something in Nick's ear. After that, the two of them went to the girl's house. The next morning when Ray arrived, his girlfriend ran out of the living room and Nick came out shirtless. They stared at each other, and then both of their eyes fell on the gun lying on the table. Nick signaled with his eyes to pick up the gun, but Ray wasn't fooled. Instead, he passed in front of Nick, went into the bedroom, and closed the door. After that, Nick got into his car and called his partner to tell him the location of the next robbery, which he had learned from Ray's girlfriend. Later, Ray's girlfriend told him that she had done what he had asked. The day of the robbery arrived and police officers were watching the bank. A van pulled up and parked. Ray and his gang arrived wearing bulletproof jackets, masks, and carrying assault rifles. As they entered the bank, they shot the security cameras and ordered everyone to sit down. The gang took everyone's phones and tied their hands, and also put bags over everyone's heads. Ray told the bank manager to call the police and demand a ransom of $1 million, and that they wanted it delivered in a helicopter with a full tank of fuel. Otherwise, he threatened they would shoot a hostage every hour, and if any police officer tried to come inside, they would kill everyone one by one. Soon the police and the FBI arrived outside the bank. Suddenly a phone rang inside the bank and Ray picked it up. He asked straight away whether what they demanded would be delivered. The officer on the line said they were working on meeting his demands. Ray replied that they had killed a man just because the police called without arranging the money first. At that moment, the boss dragged a man to the back and a gunshot rang out. The officer called again, and this time the manager answered. The manager reported that one person had already been killed. He said that for every call they make, another person will die. So don't call again until you've arranged the full amount the thieves demanded, he said. The officer asked if they could wait 90 minutes, to which Ray agreed, and the manager passed the message along. Outside, the police were looking at the bank's blueprint. Suddenly, there was an explosion from inside, and the police realized the thieves had broken the vault. Nick saw something on the map and asked Tony what it was. Tony said it was a sewage line that may now be closed. Then Nick noticed a route into the sewer and he had an idea. He said they would have to go inside. He hefted an iron road bar and began opening the bank's main door. Inside, Nick asked the hostages whether everyone was all right. There wasn't a single robber there. Nick and his team then went around the back of the bank, where the hostage had reportedly been taken and shot. But the killing was staged. The girl was still alive. Soon they found a pit connected to the sewage line, which meant the robbers had escaped through there. Nick followed them into the sewage hall. Mac called the bank, pretending to be an officer from Almond Security Company. He said their truck was just 2 minutes away and would be arriving soon, so the gate should be open for it. Ray and Anson, dressed exactly like the Alda guards, went out with the initially stolen truck to receive the delivery. They had painted over the truck and changed the design a little so it looked exactly like the real truck. The two stopped the truck at the bank's security gate and showed ID to the Federal Reserve officer on duty. The IDs looked completely genuine. They had also been told by phone that the truck was arriving, so the guard let them in without much suspicion. From the back of the truck, Ray and Anson unloaded 2 boxes filled with bundles of notes and took them to the counting floor. The money counters put these tubs into the $100 note counting room, while Ray and Anson went to the waiting room. Bosco was under the bank in a tunnel. Over the radio, Ray told Bosco that Donnie had reached the counting room. Bosco hit a switch in the power grid which dimmed the bank's electricity. Not only did this stop the bill-cutting machine, it also disabled the cameras and motion sensors in the room where the dollar bills were counted. A police guard told the counters that they would have to shut the system down for a while and take a break. As the counters and the security guards stepped out, Ray told Donnie over the radio that he could start his work now. There was no one there. Donnie had been hiding inside a box. He climbed out and a few bundles of notes fell. He pushed them back in. A woman who worked at the bank and regularly ordered Chinese food called the restaurant to complain that her order placed an hour earlier still hadn't arrived. Mac answered the phone in a Chinese accent, saying the food was on its way. Inside the bank, security and guards noticed the cameras and motion sensors were down, so one guard urged the counters to finish counting the boxes quickly, otherwise something could go wrong. Donnie was hiding under a table in the counting room. He began putting the dollar bills that were supposed to go into the cutter into black zipper bags, and then he tossed those bags into the trash bins. The security guard returned to the counting room with 2 of the counters. Ray gave Donnie the signal to run. Donnie removed an air vent cover, crawled in, and closed it behind him. Over the radio, Donnie told Ray he was in the vent, and Ray signaled Bosco to turn the lights back on. When the lights came on, everyone resumed their places as if nothing had happened. Donnie moved through the vents and pulled out the bathroom vent shaft where he had hidden the food earlier. He retrieved the food and used the same access card, the very one the bank employee had left at the bar, to move around the building. He delivered the food to the woman and then left the building. Meanwhile, Donnie's friends were picking up the bank's trash. They were sent in 2 different trucks under the same company name. All of this was part of the plan. Both trucks pulled up at an intersection and they nodded to each other. Down in the bank basement, Alexei loaded the trash into his vehicle. On the other side, Ray and Anson drove their security truck out of the bank. Boss was following one of the trash trucks and reported Ray's location to him. Ray soon caught up to that trash truck and blocked it from the front. Bosco blocked it from behind. Bosco ran to the driver, pointed a gun, and ordered him out. Bosco got into the truck and drove it away while the rest of the gang followed. Nick was searching the city for Ray and his gang. Then he spotted Donnie on the road and pulled his car over. Mac saw from a distance that police had put Donnie into their truck. Nick and his colleagues beat Donnie and demanded to know where Ray and the others were. Donnie finally gave up and told them the location. Ray and his gang were at a dump site. Mac phoned Ray to tell him Donnie had been caught. "What now?" he asked. Ray did not respond and cut the call. He told Anson that Donnie and Mac had been captured. Then both men left in their car. Nick got a glimpse of Ray's car and began chasing it onto a traffic-filled highway. He radioed detectives Murph and Baracho to the location. Ray saw through the window that Nick's car was among 20 vehicles behind him. Gus handcuffed Donnie to his own car and then left with Nick and Tony. Murph and Baracho also arrived. Ray, Anson, and Bosco stepped out of their truck. As the officers approached, Ray began firing, and a police officer was hit and killed instantly. The officers returned fire. A deafening roar filled the air as bullets began to rain down. Bullets tore through vehicles on both sides. Bosco was shot in the neck, after which Ray, firing back, shot the police officer in the knee. Ray and Anson began running down the road and Nick chased them. A precise shot from the police brought Anson down. Ray darted into an alley and Nick stayed right behind him. Nick fired at Ray, badly wounding him. Ray somehow tried to reload his gun. With great difficulty, he managed to get the weapon reloaded and stagger into a standing position. He moved toward Nick firing. Nick reloaded his own gun and shot Ray in the chest. Ray fell, crawled behind a car, and pulled from his jacket a magazine bulging with bullets, but his ammunition was finished. Still, he got to his feet and aimed his empty gun at Nick. Nick, unwillingly but to protect himself, shot Ray. He had only a slight idea that Ray had no bullets left. When Nick went back to his car, Donnie had fled. Nick and Gus pulled black bags out of Ray's car and found that they contained scraps of notes, pieces of cut-up bills, not whole notes. Nick went to the bar where Donnie used to work and asked for his whereabouts. The owner said Donnie had quit 2 days earlier. The owner was sitting there when 2 bank employees came in with access cards hanging around their necks. The owner pointed to a football team photo on the wall in which Donnie was sitting with some of his friends. As Nick walked out of the bar, he saw the bank and realized that Donnie was the mastermind of the whole game. In the end, we saw Donnie working as a bartender in a bar in London. His friends, who had run the whole operation disguised as garbage men, were also sitting with him. Tony had already planned to betray Ray and his gang. That was why Donnie's friends were driving 2 identical-looking garbage trucks. One filled with the shredded remains of the cut-up bills and the other filled with real $100 bills, that is, $30 million. It turned out Donnie had removed the money from the bags, packed it into tires, and sent it to Panama. Now he was planning another robbery in London. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to subscribe before you go.